portion goes all the way back to the beginning. All the way back to the beginning. So we're at Beresheet. Beresheet all over again. Beresheet. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of scratching the surface. I wanted to go over in Beresheet and pull up for us here Beresheet because there's so many things. There's so many things in the first 6 chapters is what it is of Beresheet. I wanted to kind of let's go over to chapter 2. And by the way, each chapter we're able to, if you wanted to know what I had to say about each chapter that's within the Torah portion, we have each chapter. I have a lesson for each chapter. We can go ahead and have those in the description. But I want to right now look at, let's see here, a few things in Beresheet chapter 2 and chapter 3. The end of chapter 2 and the beginning of chapter 3. If we go up, let me see, find a good place here. Let's start at Genesis 2:21, and we're going to read all the way up to, just the first verse of chapter 3. So if we go to Genesis chapter 2, start reading nice and loud at verse 21, all the way up to 3 and 1.
So Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall on the man, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from the man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And the man said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one is called woman, because she was taken out of a man. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother, and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, yet they were not ashamed.
Okay, very good. So I want to, okay, good. Read verse 3 too. Chapter 3, verse 1.
And the Nachash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, Is it true that Elohim has said, Do not eat of every tree?
Oh, that's good.
Garden?
We just wanted the first verse there, okay? All right, so let's go back. I want to take note of some things here. We look over in Genesis chapter 2. At the end, when we think about Genesis, Beresheet, I just in my mind try to say Beresheet and Genesis simultaneously. That doesn't work. Genesis, the book of Genesis, Beresheet. When we see the creation of man in his perfect state, right? When we look back in chapter 1, it talks about the fact that the Most High made man, and he said, it is good. Wait, does he say very good? He said it was very good. It was very good. It was muy bueno.
Muy bueno. Mucho.
Mucho bueno.
Muy. I think it's muy.
I'm not good at Spanish.
You know, Christian's word is on.
Oh yeah, that's very good. All right, so he looked at his creation and he said, "This is a good thing."
Oh yeah.
Right? And so I want to pay attention to, bring your attention to, if we go down to, pull up the dictionary there, the Strong's concordance, we look at verse 25, because we're talking about the created man and woman. Genesis 25 gives us kind of an overview. He made them both. He talks about their state and kind of their state of being. They were both naked, the man and his wife, yet they were not ashamed. It tells you about what they physically were and kind of gives you an idea of their state of being. They weren't ashamed of their state of being, right? Let's look at this word here, naked. Pull that up there on the Strong's there, the word naked. Arum, in its original sense, nude, right? It gives you this idea of, naked, being without clothes on. Okay? Physically naked, right? Okay, you really can't get anything from it, right? That's what it is, right? Arum. And notice the Hebrew there, which is an ein, a resh, a vav, and a mem. Okay, notice, right? Pay attention to that there. And we're speaking about the state of man as he was created. And thinking about also the fact that the Moses said that what he created was good. All right, so if we go over to chapter 3, verse 1, read that one more time there, verse 1 there. Chapter 3, verse 1.
And Echad was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden?
Okay, very good. So then now we have in chapter 3 where it goes over into what happens next, which is the fall, if you will. And it talks deals with Nachash, the serpent, Nachash, right, whose name is automatopoeia, is named after the sound that he makes, Nachash, is the hissing sounds. And it says that he was more crafty. He was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. Now let's look at this word here. The King James says more subtle. The Scriptures version uses the word crafty. Let's look at this word crafty and see what this word means here.
I'll look at the word crafty or something.
Subtle is
Oh, here we go.
crafty. Same word. Okay, so that word there is arum, cunning, crafty, prudent, subtle. Does anybody notice anything here about? Yes. I can't hear you.
The two words sound alike first.
They do sound alike. What was the other one? Arum. And this is arum. Is that right? The other one was arum. This one is arum. It's doing different things with the vowel points. They sound, yes. Arum was the other one, naked. Arum, which is the passive participle of the other word, which is, this one here is arum. And so you have this word, which when you look at it, it looks the same, right? It looks the same, but it's vastly different. right? One is, talking about the state of the body with no clothes on. You could think about it in that way. Or this other one deals with prudence, craftiness, being able to do things. When you think about craftiness, there's an idea of manipulation, maybe. Being able to, it's not always negative, I should say. Sometimes if you're prudent, you're able to look at things and devise particular plans and things very well. And so when we look at this, I think it's interesting to look at the fact that there's something that was in man, in his perfect state, the state that the Most High made him in, and said that he was very good. And that thing looks exactly like this other thing that gives Nakash the ability to move in his tricksy way. Who Nakash at this point was probably not very good. And then, things ensue, and then we have the great deception and the fall of man. And so what I'm saying is that there was something in man that was good, but the potential for it to be bad was already there. The serpent didn't add anything to the situation necessarily. I'm saying from a physical standpoint. He just kind of made things that was already there move. In this case, we see we're talking about the vowel points. It's either on top or it's down in the bottom. If we could spiritualize it, you could think about the arum, the naked version of the word, has the dot on top of the vav, as where its mind is kind of up. Heavenly, right? But if you think about it from the cunning, prudent, crafty, subtle standpoint, where the vowel point is moved down inside or down below, now the thoughts are more kind of, well, if it's this, what's the name of the dot inside of there? Inside of the sharuk is inside, right? So it's kind of, wow. I'm really mid-rashing right now. Somebody should tell me that I'm doing it. Thank you very much. With that dot, now it's on the inside, now it's internally focused, right? And it moves that thing that was on top that was more spiritually focused. It was naked, it was in a state that they felt they were fine, right? But then now they start to look internally, they start to look at themselves, and they become wanting, right? Desirous of these things. Will I die? Should I partake in this thing? Does this serpent know something that Elohim's not telling us? And so it's interesting when we think about the state of man, where that potential, just like even when you think about the Nakash himself, right? Who was created perfectly until desires inside of him moved him outside of perfection. And so at the end of the day, when we think about this idea, just like when we think about these little babies that we have, little Naomi, she's perfect. She's a perfect child. But you just wait. You just wait until she finds out about herself. and then she's just gonna be just like the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But she's created perfect. But she has that potential. She has that potential to move over into selfishness, like we all do. And that's the same thing we see with Adam and Hawa. They were created in this perfect way, but in that perfect way, the Most High don't remove that ability for us to look at ourselves and just think only of ourselves. And when you think about the relationship that He desires for us to have, actually, is for us to be able to bypass that thing and say, I'm not the most important thing. You are.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting that the serpent he acted on that with them. Like, whereas they wanted to be like, they wanted to have the same knowledge and insight as the Most High. And He brought that,
As the kind of like the selling point. When we were at the feast and we were kind of having this conversation, it caused me to think about used car salesmen. Used car salesmen are just, they're not good people. I'm just gonna say. You know there's something wrong with that thing, but you're gonna sell it to me. You're not gonna tell me about that thing because you just want to make that money, right? There's something going on with that thing that you're gonna try to not tell me about so that you can make the sale. Nakash was the original used car salesman.
Yeah.
Because when he sold this thing as you being like Elohim, he didn't give you all the information. Right? He didn't give you all the information. And I think that's the issue. That's the issue with this whole deception. Like, some of what you're saying can be true. But there's parts you're leaving out.
Yeah.
When he sits up there and says that you won't die, he's kind of right. You're not going to drop dead when you bite the thing. But you better believe you're going to die. You better believe you're going to be separated from the Most High. You better believe that your state of being is going to go from this place of you understanding that you're covered by the Most High. And when He removes Himself, you're going to know it. But He didn't tell them about all of these things. And so it's interesting when we look at this whole thing with Adam and Hava and the interaction with Nakash and this whole thing where it causes us to think about the creation that the Most High made, and that this fall really, it wasn't like sin got in them, I don't think, when they bit the apple. Like there was a particular ingredient or substance. I said apple. Did I say apple?
I was getting ready to say, did he say
I don't know why I said apple.
I heard that too. I was like, why?
I don't know why I said apple. Apples are wonderful. Manzanas, they're wonderful. Apples, but fruit wasn't like there was a particular substance in that fruit, but the idea of that disobedience, the idea of turning away from what it is that the Most High had wanted for Adam and Hava to be doing initially. The idea of them shifting their focus from allowing the Almighty to be the one who led and guide their every motivation, to instead now allowing for this external motivator to come and shift their focus. That was the situation. That was the sin, right? That was the transgression. And so just thought that was interesting little tidbit to kind of deal with. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, or anything about that in particular?
I wanted to add, the car salesman that came to mind was the one from Matilda. Do you remember that?
Say that again.
Matilda, the movie? Okay, her dad was a car
the mileage. I didn't see that, but it sounds just like what a car sells.
People just a scammer.
By the way, all car salesmen can't be wicked.
Yeah, not all of them.
There's probably some good ones out there.
Most of them.
There's probably some good ones.
My sister just sold a car and
She's not a car salesman.
She's not a car salesman.
That's not her
that's
job.
Not a car salesman.
Okay. Well, she said it makes a sound when you turn it on, but it goes away.
The sound-
That's legit. Yeah, that's
She's-
legit.
She's not selling that
That's
thing.
full disclosure, right?
Because a lot of times people trade their car in before. Sometimes they go to the mechanic. Because a lot of times, especially during inspection, they'll be like, "You gonna need to get this fixed. This about to go. This. All right, I'm gonna trade it in."
Yeah.
Then these places get it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the people know, sometimes they do. If you buy it, you don't got no warranty. That thing about to go. A lot of times that's what happens with. That's why they get the bad rap too.
Yeah, and you know what else is that they in their situation they basically force you to agree to take this thing whatever's wrong.
As is.
As is. When you say as is, you agree that there's probably something wrong with this thing, but I don't know what it is. I'm gonna buy it anyway. Please don't tell me that somebody close to you is a car salesman. Okay, good. Okay, go ahead.
So you're saying that they were born into this perfect environment, perfect being,
Yes.
but within them there was the nature. When the Nahash spoke, there was a nature already within them that allowed that to come out. I'm getting confused with that. So is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Even though they were born into a perfect, he made them perfect. Their environment was perfect. They knew each other not, that they were naked. But when Nahash spoke, he triggered something that was already in them.
Yeah.
So if he triggered that which was in them, and Yah is good, and they were in this perfect environment, where did that come from? Because Yah is good. He created them.
Yes, but sin is an action though. And so what I'm saying is sin is an action. So if I have the potential to sin, it don't mean that I'm wicked or evil because I have the potential. But when that potential is realized, when I've actually sinned, when I actually transgressed the Most High, now I've moved to the other side. The perfect example of this is Messiah. Messiah comes into the likeness of this sinful flesh, right? But yet he was perfect. He was perfect not because like the Catholics, you know the thing about the Catholic Church is they understand this because they defeat it by saying that Mary was also immaculately conceived. And so therefore, the human DNA is missed in Messiah. And so because she was immaculately conceived and so was he, now that sin nature, so to speak, is not there. They had an understanding of this partially. But the issue is that the sin nature isn't sin. It's just the potential. And so Yeshua, being a man, yes, he had the potential, but he never sinned. He didn't sin. And so the same thing is true with, if we even think about the serpent, who was created perfect. He was created perfect. But then all of a sudden, when he began to look inside of himself, now, wait a second. The Most High made something that was pretty okay. In fact, it's kind of magnificent. Wait, I'm great. I'm just as good as the person, the one who made me. I'm better than him. I can be the best too. Like, it's not like he put wickedness inside of him. He made him in a perfect way, but that potential was there. And so I'm saying that it seems as if the same thing is true because you think about the fact that the potential moved them in the direction of saying, okay, I'll take it. Like, before they take of it, like they're moving in that direction of, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like, how did they get to that point? They were still perfect, but they was like moving in that direction of wanting, desiring this thing that was bad. And so you have to think about the thing, what gets you there? What's the thing that gets you from perfectness over to actually doing the thing? Like if I'm looking at a thing that for me is off limits, it's gonna stay off limits because I decided that it is off limits. But at some point, if I decide that it isn't, I'll take it. But what's happening inside of me to make me make that choice, that decision? That thing didn't make me do it. I made my own self do it. I'm saying that the potential is there.
That's the point. You
But
said
until
it.
I realize it,
Yeah.
until I realize the potential, it's nothing.
With
The
this,
manifestation comes after the realization.
Yes, right. The manifestation comes after the
yeah,
realization.
because it starts inside of you,
Yeah.
and everything that you do starts with a decision. Every single thing, except for when you wake up. That's why we all praise the Most High when we wake up,
Yeah.
because
He make it.
you can, unless like if I'm having a bad dream, I can actually wake up. I could be like, I'm done with this dream, and I can get up.
Yeah.
But like when you naturally in a certain level of sleep,
Yeah.
your brain waves, you don't wake yourself up. You don't consciously do it. The Most High's doing that. So there's certain things that the Most High, is intrinsically that we don't have control of. But in your waking hours, in your mind, everything starts with a decision. Okay, I'm going to get out of bed. Okay, I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to do this. And then all your decisions, everything's a decision. So then when you're presented with another decision, that's all Satan did in the garden, was present another decision that the Most High said to not do.
Yeah.
So now when yourself, am I going to listen to this and be obedient or disobey what I was already told? It's a decision.
Yeah.
And so within all of us, now being in this realm, we all have decisions. See, in the Garden of Eden, it was like he gave them everything. He told them everything that they could do and everything you couldn't do. It was easy. It's easy. Just don't mess with that. Y'all's already told what to do, so you don't have to. See, in life, we get all these decisions. We don't know what decision to make because it's hard. Because it's so much confusion. There's no clear way. Everything is, out of array. But in the garden, it wasn't like that. But then you just had this one decision to be where disobedience came in, and that started the whole cascade of confusion.
Yeah. Right, because I'm saying that the Nakash could have came along and said, you can have partake of this and you won't surely die. And they could have just said, yeah, I will. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He didn't put anything in them but a thought in the mind. And within them, they were interested in the thought, or else they never would have done it. And so I'm saying that they were interested in the thought that was put in them in their perfect, quote unquote, state. And I'm only just kind of facetiously saying quote unquote because I believe that they were perfect. I believe that they literally were perfect because they didn't do anything. Just like Naomi's perfect and she didn't do anything. Just like Joseph isn't perfect because he did do something. Already.
Don't do that to my boy.
I didn't do it to him. He
just
did it to
color.
himself.
He just trying to color, man.
Look, he's
Here for
smiling
that.
because he knows I'm right. He already knows. Okay, so there's more to be said. There's more that I can go on and on. In fact, somewhere I did go on. You can look and find that up in the description section.